Hello, parents and teachers. Welcome back to another episode with me, Teacher Yuven. And today we're going to be talking about a very important topic. The topic for today's episode is spotting the subtle signs of bullying and empowering your child with strategies. Now, before we even get started, let me just share with you why we decided to talk about this topic, right? When parents come to us when their child has been bullied, it's not like, oh, the child has been bullied for a week or the child has been bullied just for the past 3 days. No, most of the time when the child has been bullied, the child has been bullied for a long enough period of time where the impact is permanent. Now, as a parent who might not have experienced this before, like as in you have never had your child being bullied or you yourself have not been bullied, it might seem like, oh my God, why did they wait so long? Why did they not take action sooner? Right? You might think that, okay, every single parent want to make their child stronger. We want to make them resilient. We want to make them kental, kan? Kita nak bagi dia kental, kita nak bagi dia kuat. We want to make them independent. But why did these parents choose to wait so long until the impact is permanent, right? The thing is, bullying is a very confusing thing to experience as a child as well as a parent, right? So what I've noticed when parents come to us with these bullying cases, it's usually the parents are very confused on what to do. Okay, in one part, there will be their family members suggesting that, oh, you're being too soft on your child, you have to practice a bit of tough love, you kena keraskan dia sikit, tak boleh lembik-lembik macam ni, bagi dia gaduh dengan budak tu balik, bagi dia fight dengan diorang so that they become strong, nanti besar macam mana. So they want to practice tough love. Even if the parent doesn't want to practice this on their own, some parents do. Some parents, especially I've heard this from fathers who say, oh, this is all part normal part of life. They have to go through, right? Even though the mom doesn't agree. So there's mismatch there. But quite a number of times it's from extended family, which means grandparents or, relatives and whatever not. So they feel like maybe I'm being too soft. So the parents are very confused. Do I pull them out? Do I take action? Because if I take action, am I overprotecting them and then therefore setting them up for failure? Am I not giving them the opportunity to build their own backbone? These are the common words I heard here from parents, right? But what I want to share with you today, that when you decide to intervene or when you decide to protect your child from bullying, it's not that you're making them weaker. It is like giving them vaccine, because the impact of bullying is not just the physical act or just them hearing it for one time. What we've noticed, and research proves this as well, that the impact is far-fetching. Some of the kids who were bullied in school carry it up to like when they're 30s, 40s. They have not even gotten rid of it even when they're in their 40s, So this is personal experience. I've met people, talk to them that they have been carrying this with them for a very, very long time. So with modernity comes another layer to this problem, where there is also cyberbullying. Like previously, at least it's easier for parents to see. Like we will be talking about all this later, like how to spot the kid is being bullied, right? But let's see if they're bullied online, and then this adds another layer of complexity. Lagi susah kita nak tahu budak tu kena bully ke tak, sebab tak ada physical signs langsung. Cikgu pun tak boleh nampak apa semua, kan? So it's very dangerous. So what are we going to talk about today in today's webinar? Let's look at what I've prepared for you guys to discuss today. So first of all, we are going to talk about why protecting your child from bullying is not weakness. Okay. So benda ni kepada parents yang memang very aware, self-aware, you spend a lot of time maybe in therapy, you spend a lot of time healing, this might seem like, ala cikgu, benda ni bukan obvious ke? It might seem like that. But trust me, for a lot of parents, it is not. It is not. Like a lot of parents, like how I described earlier, they are in a state of confusion when it comes to, should I even take an action? Should I even protect my child? Should I even validate my child's fears, or push them, right? And we're going to look into a lot of case studies that I've personally experienced, counsel parents with. So after we look at why this is not a weakness, I want to spend a lot of time here because this is the biggest part or biggest challenge I've noticed parents have. Like, is this a sign of weakness? Like, this stops everything, meaning if they cannot overcome this, they cannot take the next course of action. So once we've done that, what we want to look at is we want to look at impact of bullying, and we want to understand what is the parental role in managing this impact. Of course, we will also look at teachers' roles, but I notice teachers' roles are very limited, especially in a physical school environment, and we're going to look at why that is when we go to that section. After we've looked at the impact, we also want to see how can we spot signs of bullying. Okay, signs of bullying, and a lot of parents rasa macam, okay, kalau dia kena pukul, balik ada lebam-lebam, baru bullying. No, there's many other signs that you can see before it gets to the physical level. Usually physical level, I would say, is the very last one that you can see. So there's many other subtle signs that you can see before it gets to the physical. And I have also seen cases where it has pushed the child to suicide, but tak ada physical signs langsung. So it is very important for us to look at both the obvious and also the invisible signs. Now, after we look at that, we want to see, in case your child has been bullied, how can parents help? What can you do? How can you mitigate, like, your feeling of like, oh, did I not do a good job as a parent? Did I not protect my child? These feelings are valid, yeah, because when it happens to our kids, this is exactly how we feel. Like, maybe I failed as a parent. Maybe I didn't do a good job. And I've heard so many parents share these kind of sentiments during our strategy call, or, when we are going through the discussion with them. It's a lot, right? So I want to make sure that we give you a chance to validate those feelings and realize that it's not your fault. And then maybe there are also parents who are listening to this. No, your child's not being bullied, so you're not looking at how to heal the wounds or how to manage the impact of the bullying, but you want to know how to prevent this from happening. So this would be great. This would be great for parents who want to prevent bullying from happening to your child. What are the steps that you can take, right? So these are the things that we're going to cover today. And hopefully it will be a super valuable episode for you. If you have any questions when I'm sharing these things, please type in the comment section. We will definitely get to you, right? Okay, so without further ado, let's get to the most important part of today's episode, the explanation on why protecting your child from bullying is not a sign of weakness on your part. Please take time to fully digest this, because this, I have seen, is the biggest struggle with parents when their child is bullied. Okay, so let's get started with the first belief system. Okay, so the first belief system is that you have what parents usually state, and this is the statement they usually make. No, kalau I tak biar dia go through all this, macam mana nanti dia bila besar, macam ni dia akan face the world. They need to know that all these people exist in the world, baru dia boleh survive nanti bila I tak ada, kan? This general statement lah. So this belief system is usually traditional beliefs lah, and they have personal experience. So this part we would like to call it about traditional beliefs and personal experiences. Okay, macam mana dia punya personal experience? Maybe dia kena bully juga. As a kid, they were bullied either by their own parents, their teachers, or friends, kan? Kadang-kadang dia tak sedar pun dia kena bully. And then dia rasa macam like, oh, I went through a lot worse. This is nothing. So, kita kena kentalkan you, right? So they might have grown up in an environment where tough love was common. Okay, and then the next belief, the underlying belief in those kind of statements, is that they believe that adversity is necessary. Maksudnya, some form of hardship is necessary to build resilience and to build character, right? And though I agree with that statement, which means I agree that some form of hardship and adversity is necessary to build character, but we're going to look today why bullying is not one of them. Okay, now, so what research indicates, let's look at what research indicates. So research indicates that when your child faces bullying, it does not actually build resilience. Okay, we're going to look shortly what resilience means. Apa tu, like membina daya kental, kan? Kita nak bagi anak kita kental macam mana. So it doesn't actually build resilience, but actually bullying leads to, these are the things research says, increased anxiety, depression, and lowered self-esteem. Meaning, besides depression and anxiety, the child also believes they are worth a lot less. Now, to parents who are very troubled with this statement, right? Like, you are troubled with the statement that I'm not being tough on my child, how are they going to be strong? And like, if they're not exposed to all these bad people when they're young itself, how are they going to handle it when I'm not there when they're an adult? So for them, I have this question. Does everybody need to get dropped to know how to protect their money when they're on the street? Does everyone have to fight a tiger to know that that's not a wise move? Kalau jumpa harimau, lari, tembak harimau tu ke, lari naik atas pokok. It's not necessary, right? You don't have to get scammed to know that scammers exist. Similarly, you don't need to go through these experiences to just know bad people exist. Because as a human being, a lot of our experiences or a lot of our cautionary tale, oh, don't mix with this kind of people, don't do these kind of things, didn't come from actually experiencing them on our own. Mostly it came from our parents telling us that this is bad, don't do this. It came from stories, storybooks. It came from movies. It came from, watching documentaries. Like, I think children can learn that you don't need to go and talk to strangers with vans next to them by just you telling them, right? They don't even have to watch a documentary on human trafficking to know that. So similarly, when it comes to bullying, child doesn't have to experience this because this is not a process of building resilience. It's a process of harming the child. And that's something that I want parents to really get into their mind. This is not a process of building resilience. Now, why this problem happens? So the next point is, parents usually misunderstand what is resilience. Maksudnya, kita nak bina daya ketahanan dia kan. Kita nak bagi dia kuat. Kita nak bagi dia boleh face apa-apa adversity pun. Tapi kita salah faham what is daya kental tau. Kita salah faham what is resilience. So resilience generally is fostered in children or in any person actually when they are met with challenges, but there is a solution to that challenge, right? There is a support system to face that challenge. There is coping strategies to face with that challenge. So for example, let's take a very simple example. Budak-budak jadi stress bila homework susah. But that one not a problem because a teacher can help, a parent can help. But let's say a kid lives in a hostel, dia duduk kat asrama and tak ada orang tahu dia kena pukul. And they feel like there's nobody who's going to help them. You understand? So that is not building resilience. They're just putting your child in harm's way. So we've also got brain science, right, that shows us that repeated stress that child gets from bullying. So what is this repeated stress? That means hari ni dia kena panggil gemuk, esok dia kena panggil, oh kau gelap lah, kau buruk lah, kena hentam, kena curi barang, because it happens on a daily basis. So this is what I've heard from parents who their child were bullied. They got this on a daily basis and it progressively gets worse as the child tries to cope with it, right? This kind of repeated stress actually alters the child's brain structure, particularly in regions related to anxiety and emotional regulation. So it is not very unusual, maksudnya sangat-sangatlah common, bila budak tu kena bully, they actually end up being the next bully. Example, dia kat sekolah kena bully, balik rumah bully adik-beradik. Atau dia kat sekolah kena bully, balik rumah memang dia biadab dengan parents atau biadab dengan mak lah selalunya sebab mak soft kan, mak more soft hearted, selalunya biadab dengan mak. So you see that they are now trying to establish themselves in the food chain lah, in the hierarchy. Oh, I am here, bully tu atas ni, so you are underneath me, let me bully you now. See, it really does affect them in the long run. Now, when we say that, okay, bila bullying tu boleh bina daya kental seorang, or we can build daya ketahanan seorang, that's like saying, oh, okay, in order to teach my child how to walk well, right? Let me break their leg. Let me see how they walk with a broken leg. Because then they will be really, really strong. Because they know how to walk with a straight leg, a normal leg, and they know how to walk with a broken leg. Tak masuk akal kan? So this is the mistake that we are making. Sorry, I have to give this kind of analogies that are really hard or really painful sebab it is a very hard stigma for most parents to break. It's a very hard thing for parents to do to actually intervene when the kids is being bullied, because really I've noticed this so many times over. Now, the next reason why it's not a sign of weakness, because most parents will feel this lah. Dia rasa macam I'm overprotecting my child. So because as parents, I understand kita nak anak kita kuat, kita nak anak kita berdikari, kita nak dia independent, right? So kita rasa kalau we intervene, kita masuk campur, nanti kita akan bagi anak kita rasa macam, oh, apa-apa pun mak ada, apa-apa pun ayah ada, dia akan tolong kita. Kita rasa macam they will just become dependent on us. Now, in this, I can tell you a story of a parent. So this parent, when they came to us, dia cerita apa semualah, dia cerita what's the problem. Of course, generally parents don't start out with the bullying. They talk to us about the child's not doing very well in school, you know, and all that. They want to switch schools. So one thing about us is we really truly try to understand who the child is and what is their history before we bring them in, because, you know, we are super personalized, right? So when we were listening to this mom story, there's something not right. Then I keep asking further questions and everything. Then the mom mentioned this lah, but you know lah, dia kat sekolah, dia tak ada kawan sangat. Ataupun what happens is when they do group projects and all, they push all the work to her. Dia seorang je kena buat. And the school is a bit racist, classmates dia a bit racist. But then I tell my daughter, kat Malaysia ni, you have to learn how to face it lah. You know, I'm in corporate, it's very racist here also, but you got to fight this, you got to be here. So what happens here, bila as parents, we tell this to our kids. Oh, I'm also facing racism. I'm also okay with it. I have to learn to live with it. So what we are saying is, benda ni buruk, but it's part of life. We are normalizing something that is harmful for the child, right? We are normalizing what is negative, because the child does have a lot of options not to work with a racist boss or a racist team. There's many other organizations. There is a way to macam boleh berniaga sendiri. Now the options are unlimited, kan? Like, mana tahu dia nak jadi influencer ke, YouTuber ke, dia nak berniaga jual barang ke. They don't have to face this. So what we want to tell our children is their self-worth is more important than just accepting wrong things as normal, right? So we fear that when kita masuk campur, we will end up overprotecting. Now, first of all, kita kena define what is overprotecting. Overprotecting is when we masuk campur dalam benda yang budak tu boleh manage sendiri. Example, this one also kita ada example. The parents come and say, oh, teacher, this homework very difficult. Don't give my child. I've had experience, mak dia marah sebab kita bagi homework, and then mak dia tak boleh bawa anak pergi jalan-jalan. Like after school, dia tak nak homework sebab dia tak nak. After school, the mom wants to bring her out to the mall every day. Like, you know, the mom's a socialite lah, wants to go out and whatever not, right? So because of that, the mom doesn't want us to give homework. But at the same time, the mom also wants the grades to be great. You understand the challenges of being a teacher? So it's very difficult. Now, this is overprotection, meaning you don't want to expose your child to manageable chores or manageable challenges, because this is how children actually build independence. Okay, they do a bit of hard things, then they do harder things, then they do the hardest things. So we build their ability to handle hard things. So what is the difference between overprotecting and actually protecting? So overprotecting is like saying that, oh, you don't try any new type of foods. It's very dangerous, because if you eat any type of food, what if like you get a reaction? That's overprotection lah. Whereas in this case, it's like saying that I know that this will cause you allergic reaction, but you eat it anyway because I want to make you stronger. Nanti you makan banyak-banyak kan, nanti allergy tu tak ada. Walaupun doktor dah cakap benda tu memudaratkan, benda tu boleh datangkan bahaya, kita force orang tu buat supaya dia boleh jadi lagi kuat. This is the problem lah. This is exactly what we do with bullying. There's a lot of research and science that says that bullying is bad, but we continue to force that upon our children because we feel like it will make them stronger. So that's the difference. And it's very important to understand this difference so that you can take the right action. Now, the next one is why parents don't want to intervene. This one, unbelievable for parents who have not experienced it. But for most parents, I think it will be very relatable. They feel like if I intervene, if I masuk campur, it will get worse. It will get a lot worse. Now, I don't find that very difficult to accept, because we've had parents here, they come to us, dia nak bagi feedback tau. Dia bagi feedback, dia selalu cakap macam, oh, can I say this? I don't want my daughter to get into trouble nanti dengan cikgu-cikgu dia. I don't want the teachers to pick on her. So I'll be very confused. Why would anybody say no to feedback, right? Because feedback means, okay, we get the feedback, we can get better, we can improve, we can serve you better and everything. But what the parents told me is, in their previous schools, when they give feedback, cikgu jadi marah. Cikgu macam like, oh, so you're trying to tell me you know how to do my job better lah. Anak you not so special ke? Anak you yang salah. And then what happens is, when they get that feedback, they end up picking up on the child of the parent who gave the feedback. So budak tu kena pulau, budak tu kena bully, or cikgu langsung tak nak layan budak tu atau tengok budak tu pun lepas tu. You know? So this is what happens. So parents become super cautious on intervening because they don't want the problem to be worse, right? And this is especially true if the child is being bullied by the teachers. So we've got a lot of cases where the bully is actually the teacher. The teacher says mean things. I've even had one experience where the mom said, every time the child asks a question, the teacher says, wow, you guys are really strawberry generation. You can't even exert a bit of effort to find this on your own, right? So when we say that we don't want to intervene, right, because we are skeptical, kalau kita intervene, kalau kita masuk campur, it'll become worse. It's like saying, tak apalah, ada api kan, nanti dia akan padam sendiri, tak payah hantar bomba. Bomba tu tak tahu efektif ke tak. It's like that. Okay, so intervention is effective, and if necessary, if it is necessary for the mental health and safety of your child, pulling out is also a very good option. Like, you're not making your child weaker by giving them an option to be safe. Okay, that's what I want to reframe. This is not about making them weak, it is about making them safe, and it is our job as parents to keep them safe if other people can't do it for us, right? Okay, the next one is that I also feel that the reason why parents don't step in or parents don't try to stop this, because parents themselves lack awareness on the effect of bullying long term, right? So like we've talked about before, this is one of a more recent case study that I have, right? The girl was bullied for almost 2 years. 2 years constant bullying. But this girl is actually a star student. She's a star student. She's giving speeches in schools. She's holding leadership positions. But for some reason, I don't know, these boys, they actually don't like her or hate her. It's very hard to explain the reason behind bullying, because they can bully for whatever reasons. So they start picking on her. So they start saying that she's fat, she's ugly, and this has been happening consistently. To a point that in the beginning, she tried to ignore them, she tried to zone them out, but I think it happened so consistently that eventually it got to her. Eventually, she believed that she is fat, even though she's just a normal girl, like completely acceptable body structure, body type, whatever you want to call it, right? But because she's been continuously ridiculed, she accepted that as the truth. Then what happened is she started starving herself. That's when the mom really noticed, okay, there's something wrong here. She's starving herself. She's getting so thin. So then the mom realized, then only the mom brought her to a therapist. So this is step one, no? At least the mom intervened and brought her to a therapist, right? For I also heard many cases, people who are in their 30s and 40s, where they did not get this intervention. So what happened is they carried that shame and that feeling of inadequacy. They rasa macam, I'm not good enough, I am not enough, or I am bad, or I am fat. They carry it with them forever. And it affects them in their ability to form relationship with other people, finding a suitable spouse, because they constantly feel like they are ugly, they're not enough, right? So these are actually long-term effects on bullying, right? And bullying one, it's long-term effect, right? And it's well documented now, because well documented in the sense that it gives higher risk for depression and anxiety. That's of course. And the next one is suicide ideation and also suicide attempts. So it also increases the chances of this happening. So we also heard, like, this is another case study, right? Like this parent, single mom, she got separated from the husband. So the girl has been here, where else the mom is abroad, because, you know, the mom wants to support her the child's education and whatever not, right? So the mom was working, so the girl is living with the relatives lah. And somehow the children at school got to know that her parents are separated, and they made that a point to pick on. So they kept pushing her about it, making all sort of comments until the girl cannot take it lah. And she actually attempted suicide, right? So this is very dangerous. And I don't think as parents, we ever want to face this. And it's better if we can prevent it. So if you know, then try to take actions as soon as possible. And one more reason why it stops parents from actually taking action, right, is the stigma. Because like I mentioned before, for some parents, admitting that your child is bullied or being bullied and needing to remove them from the school, it makes them feel like they are a failure as a parent, or their child failed as a person. So in their head, they're like, oh, I didn't raise my child well enough. They're not strong enough to fight this kind of kids who are picking up on them. They should be more resilient. They should be stronger. They should like punch the other kid on the face. Banyaklah fikiran dia. Like, I didn't do a good job as a parent. This is the stigma tau. So when we let this kind of stigma stop us from doing what is right, it's like saying that, okay lah, I dah tahu anak I sakit, or I know my dad is having a heart attack, but I don't want to call an ambulance sebab nanti orang fikir macam mana? Orang fikir I failure, orang fikir I tak jaga my dad sebab tu dia kena heart attack. You know? So we don't want to take the action because we're afraid of what other people might think. But as parents, I think it's our first duty to put our kids' safety and mental health a priority above what makcik bawang lain akan cakap. What the neighbors are going to say, what your sister-in-law is going to say, it doesn't matter, right? What matters is your child's safety, right? So I hope, like, we don't focus on appearances and we focus on healing and taking care of our child, right? Now, last one that I want to talk about before we go to impact is that a lot of parents have this belief also lah, that, you know, it leads from the belief that they didn't raise their child well. Is the belief that the child should independently solve the problem. Dia kata, okay, awak ada masalah kan? Awak lah kena solve. Bukan dia bully I, dia bully you bang. So you lah kena pergi and fight with the kids. Here's the problem with that statement or with that belief. Yes, we should give autonomy to our children to solve their problem. Okay, for example, dia lapar. Nak masak Maggi mee ke, nak bakar roti ke, tu choice dia lah. Dia boleh solve the problem on their own. But when you expect your child to independently solve the problem of bullying, right? That's like expecting a child that's drowning to just swim ashore. There is a very clear difference in power dynamics lah, because orang yang tengah bully tu selalunya lagi besar, atau dia datang dalam kumpulan, where else this kid is one single kid. And usually the kids who get bullied, right, they raised very well tau. They raised very well by their parents. So I want you to understand that as well. The kids who get bullied, it's not that you failed as a parent. It's just that we are failing as a society to protect the kid, right? Because these kind of kids, you don't want to create problems. Banyak I pernah dengar, the kid didn't want to share with the parents because dia tak nak bebankan parents dia. Dia rasa parents dia dah buat banyak gila benda, dah hantar dia pergi sekolah yang elok, ataupun like they're working very hard to support the education. So the kid doesn't want to burden the parents and don't want to share. Or the kid is ashamed that this is happening to them, right? So when we say that tak apalah, dia kena fight sendiri tau, dia dah besar ni. This is like saying, kalau anak kita kena keliling dengan penyamun, kita kata tak apalah, tak apa. Kita tengok dia fight macam mana. Kita tengok dia kental tak. Dia boleh tak fight dengan like a group of lanun ni, dengan penyamun-penyamun ni semua. Kita nak dia independent kan? So kita biar. That's what we're saying. Because there's a clear difference between exercising autonomy or like the ability to solve problem compared to facing harm. This is what I want you to understand, that being bullied is actually like putting them in the middle of the road with an approaching lorry. It's actually harm. There's nothing about this that's going to build resilience. Okay, so if that is clear and that helped you get over your own belief system that you are not good as a parent, you are not doing a great job as a parent, please let me know in the comment section, because we really hope that this helped you, right? So the next thing that we're going to look at is we're going to see what is the impact of bullying and what role can parents play in order to reduce or mitigate this impact right after a very short break.
Yeah, I lost 7 kilos just because of them. I didn't want to experience that feeling again. I can be happy again. I wanted to be homeschooled. And then COVID came. And I was actually really happy when online school happened in Raffles, because I was like, yes, I don't need to face the bullies, let's go. And I was scared, frightened. So I told my mom, can I do homeschooling? In past Excel, I don't feel worried. We all always interact. I think that's actually how we actually started talking and not actually make fun of each other. They were fun. They actually acted fun. They were nice. They weren't very mean. And I was like, oh, okay. So not all people are that bad. Not all people are bad.